My name is Catherine Ramos. I go by Katie. I am an agriculture production major. So, for my first soil sample, I chose actually my dad's backyard. He does a lot of vegetation. He also grows a lot of flowers, so I figured that would be a good sample. It's about 3 acres. There's some woods in the background. This particular patch was actually a garden that he's clearing out to start all over. Um, right away, it felt really gritty. I was expecting a high sand content. Um, so the downer loamy sand is good for home gardening. Come to find out, it's well draining soil, and you want that. That allows air to get to the roots. It also has a pH of around 5 or so, which makes it very acidic. Um, Downer loamy sand has a 2 to 5% slope. It's also known as the Mid Atlantic Coastal Plain. The soil texture, again, it's very sandy, it was very gritty. With the ribbon test, it crumbled right away. There was literally no ribboning happening. These are the maps. We have the topo map at the top, and then we have the aerial view. As you can see, it's pretty wooded all around. And then you have his immediate yard. For suitability and limitations range, I agree with the results. Soil is very porous, it's well draining, great suitability, especially for gardening, very limited. For additional information, I went with dwellings with basements just due to the fact that he has a basement. We had not limited. It's ideal soil. The soil is well draining. There should be no issues with flooding of the basement. For my next soil sample, I went to the ponds at Willow Grove. Lots and lots of acreage. It was mostly fields. They are building houses in the back of the property. There's a wooded area. Um, there is a bunch of gravel mixed in with the soil. So the types of soil that we had were Hurlock sandy, Ingleside loamy, and Unicorn loam. So basically, the sandy loams are deficient in nutrients. They're very poor draining, which is kind of surprising because they're building all these houses here. The soil, again, was very gritty, but I was able to get a little bit of a ribbon. The surface texture results, as well as the ribbon, they both show sandy loam soil. Maps, you have your topo map and your aerial map. For suitability and limitations, I agree with the ratings. The soil seems to be poor draining. Houses with basements should be placed strategically to avoid major problems like flooding into the basement. I was seeing that there was a lot of problems with ponding, so that's definitely something to look out for. For additional information, I chose the information on playgrounds. With them, building houses and developments, it makes sense that they would add a playground. But due to the rocky soil that has such poor drainage, it's not ideal for playgrounds. The soft soil would be eroded away with the high foot traffic. Next, I did Cooper's Farm, which is basically it's a water treatment facility, and I went into the woods just outside of it. I had to dig to get to a good sample. There's a lot of leaves, there's a lot of sticks, there's a lot of rocks, but we eventually got a good sample. A soil type, Falsington loams, as well as Marshy Hope loams. This all came up very, very sandy. my ribbon test concluded a sandy clay loam. It actually held up better than what I was expecting it to. I was able to ribbon it a little bit. Surprisingly, I was expecting it just to crumble. We have maps. We have the topo map and we have the aerial view. Suitabilities and limitations. I chose walking paths. It is not ideal due to the poor drainage as well as ponding of the water. It's also not ideal to do a walking path because of all the rocks. So for additional information, I did wind erodibility. With the tall trees, the wetter soil, wind erosion is, in my opinion, it seems very unlikely. They have a rating of 5. It goes all the way up to 8. So it is on up there with 1 being the most susceptible, but it's not the worst it could be. So far, I have learned that I can efficiently navigate the WSS website with confidence. Took a little practice, but I got it. That even though it all might look like dirt, the components that make it up are incredibly unique. It's not, one size fits all. Definitely is not. And it might look like you can grow, your tomato plants in that soil when you run a soil report. Come to find out, it's not ideal. And that just because, like I was saying, that just because it looks okay to grow things, the soil report is what matters most. And that's about it.